Good morning, and good afternoon to the East Coast. Thank you guys for joining me, and sorry I'm like a minute late, but I wasn't kidding. I'm on the second cup of coffee today already, so it's gonna be a long day. So I was thinking about all of the talk about goals last week, and one of the ones, if you guys saw, I put up a reading challenge. I read all the time. I'm a big audiobook person, and Poe just decided to take a dive, so we'll get him in a minute. But going back to the audiobooks, I used to struggle. I wanted to do these different reading challenges. I love to read. I'm an author, obviously. Books are a big deal to me, but I actually, because I'm in the gym, or I'm driving, or I'm at signings, or I'm traveling. Now, when I'm traveling on a plane, obviously it's different, but if I'm driving somewhere, or I'm at the gym training, if I'm in the process of setting up a table, doing a signing, tearing a table, going to meet and greets, actually sitting down, reading a physical book, which is my preference, it's a little different. It's very time consuming, and it's something that I enjoy, but it's not the easiest thing to do, to read on a treadmill or on a track, or to take a book in the pool. So I really got into audiobooks a couple years ago. Actually, I can send a big thank you to author David Michael for that one. He did a Live Literally Literacy Summit. I can't believe I actually got that one out correctly this time. Back, I don't even remember how many years ago. This was pre-COVID. We'll say pre-COVID. He did this signing, and it was in Salt Lake City, which from here, where I live in Las Vegas, is about a 6-hour drive. And I had, that starter credit thing from Audible. And so I was like, I'll give it a try. I've never done the audiobook thing. I had never at the time listened to Dean Koontz, so I decided, let's just do a whole bunch of firsts all at once. And I grabbed a Dean Koontz book, which was like 20 hours long. I did not know books took that long at the time. Of course, I read Stephen King, so you would think I would have known, but I didn't. And so I started listening to the book, and there's a different energy when you listen, especially with a good narrator, a good storyteller. There's a very different type of connection to the book when you're doing audio. Some people love it. I do. You get that story, you get that voice from the narrator when they do a good job, and it really helps bring everything to life, all the characters. But then you also have narrators that don't do the greatest job, or if you've already read part of a series and then you get into it and then their voice doesn't match up with what was in your head, it can definitely throw things off. So there's pros and cons. For me, I happen to very much like narration. I like the audiobooks, and I actually will be this year, Partners in Crime and hopefully Yearbook will be going audio. And then once the Sin series is complete in 27 next summer, the summer solstice, I will be looking to take the whole series audio. One thing that drives me crazy is when there's a series and it switches narrators like partway through. Unfortunately, sometimes that's beyond your control. Vince Flynn, who is an author both my mom and I love. Vince, of course, passed away, if you're familiar with the Mitch Rapp series. But Kyle Mills took over, and now Don Bentley actually writes the series. And I've been thoroughly enjoying. I've listened / read every single book in that series. But the first set of books were written by Vince Flynn. And the narrator, I can't remember the name, Scott something. I apologize. I don't remember the actual narrator. But they did almost all of the books together. When Kyle Mills took over, it was either the last book that Vince Flynn did himself, or the first book that Kyle Mills did was the last book for that narrator, and then they switched to George Guidall. And I do remember George Guidall very, very well. He was the voice of Mitch Rapp for me. He was amazing, and he had that kind of just dark, spooky, gravelly. Think every season, every version of CSI, that kind of gravelly voice that the leader has. George Guidall has that same kind of raspy, gravelly voice. It was just very international spy. And so to me, he was Mitch Rapp. He was the absolute pinnacle of what this character sounds like. Well, the very last book that Kyle Mills did before he switched and went back to being a reader and a fan and working on his own books when Don Bentley took over, they switched narrators. So the very last Kyle Mills book is actually Steven Weber, who I know him from Wings. If you go back, and I'm aging myself dramatically on that one, but Steven Weber is a great actor. He does a phenomenal job, but I've always known him as a comedic actor. And so I was really concerned. I was like, I love this series. Please, please don't make it weird. He's also a phenomenal narrator. He's an amazing voice actor. He does a great job, but he's definitely not George Guidall. So I had to take that entire first book, and thankfully it was the last one Kyle Mills did, so I was used to the writing style, but I had to take that whole time to kind of get used to it and to get used to hearing his voice as Mitch, as Claudia, and as the different characters. And then when Don Bentley took over and he took the series in this entire new direction, at least I had the narrator voice to be familiar with. So that way when the whole series kind of took that quick left turn, I was only thrown off by one thing. So in that situation, I mean, the books have been going for so long. There have been so many different twists and turns between the stories and the authors and the narrators. It's a lot. And I still listen to them. I still love them. But I only have 7 books in this series, and I want to keep a very consistent voice. My voice in the writing is, I hope, consistent. I'm doing my best on that. But for the narration, when we go audio, I want to make sure when I hire the narrator, it's going to be, you're hired for all 7 books. So I am waiting on those. People have asked when I go to signings if those books are audio. They will be. They're coming, just not yet. Same thing with the Voices series when that comes out. It's a 4-book series. Yes, I am planning on taking all of my books audio eventually, but I want to have complete series when that happens. I just want to make sure that I keep that consistency. So that's a big goal coming up this year, and a huge thank you to the Nevada Arts Council. They do grants for authors. If you guys are familiar, I know you met on Cocktails with Kenzie last year, and I've talked about her a number of times. S.G. Tosh, she writes urban fantasy, and her first book in the series is audio, and it is thanks to a grant from the Nevada Arts Council, who came and talked to me at the Las Vegas Book Festival this year, and so hopefully we will be working together getting those books out this year. Speaking of, just because I have to show it off because I'm such a little kid, I don't know if you can see that with the glare and I'm a little ways away, but this is a very cool locket that I got as a present from S.G. Tosh. I can't speak this morning. It's the Telltale Heart from Poe, which reminds me. Come on, buddy. Get him up here since he decided to try to take a nap on the floor. I already had the Raven, and she got me the Telltale Heart, so I think it was like a late Christmas present, but I think I'm kind of collecting all the Poe lockets now, so if you happen to see me out and see them, go ahead and ask which book if you want to know. So a big thank you to her. And then she and I will be out 2 weeks from now. We will be in, is it 2 weeks? 3 weeks? 3 weeks. Too much going on. No, 2 weeks. 2 weeks on the 24th. I can't do math. We will be at the Clark County Library not only are we signing at the Author and Artist Fair, but we are actually teaching the very first workshop of the day, and it's all about marketing strategies for multi-genre authors. I mean, obviously, between 3 pen names and I think 11 different genres, I think I qualify for that. I'm still learning the marketing, but it's kind of a anecdotal do's and don'ts, things that have worked for me, things that have blown up in my face. So I'm excited to be able to share that with people. And so that'll be right at 10:30 in the morning, which I know this is even earlier, but there will be coffee. Definitely will be coffee on that one. And a huge thank you to the Clark County Library for recognizing that since we're there all day, they have a food truck coming in. It's gonna have coffee and probably pastries and stuff like that, but still they're gonna have food for us. So that'll be kind of cool. And then, just in case you're curious, I've mentioned this one before. It's kind of a Poe-esque coffee mug. It says, quote the raven, pour some more. Let you guys see that. This one actually came from Alaska when I was on that cruise. And so, of course, obviously, Poe inspired. And so I decided that, you know, with Poe being a big focus today, I would enjoy coffee out of his mug. I'm actually drinking Raven's Claw coffee too, which is not Harry Potter, believe it or not. It's from Alaska as well. So there have been a lot of focus on, you know, different goals. I put up a thing about reading recommendations for that challenge that I want to do. So definitely send me your recommendations. I know most of my author friends, a lot of my reader friends, you guys are romance. There's some room for romance on that challenge. I am not a big romance person. Somebody asked me once what kind of romance I write, and I told them the kind where no one falls in love and everybody dies. So I am a thriller reader and writer to my core, but that doesn't mean that I can't branch out. There's classics on there. There's books that have horrible reviews. I think somebody said read Catch-22, so that's on the list as a possibility. But I have that definitely going as a goal this year. Another goal, I don't know if you guys mentioned, I've mentioned it a few times, I don't know if you remember. I have obviously a number of platforms because I have friends and readers who aren't always on Facebook, who aren't always on Instagram, some people who live on TikTok, some people who never go near it. Same thing with YouTube. So I do actually have all of those channels, all of those different accounts. TikTok and Instagram are big ones for the brand ambassador that I do. And I actually have some stuff coming, so I get to do some more unboxing and discovery stuff soon. And of course, my little bird model and birdfluencer here will be helping me out with that. But then a friend of mine, if you know me real well, you know that I am such a big reader and writer and book nerd that I'm not a big movie person. It's not to say I don't like movies. I actually adore movies. I don't watch a lot of them. There is almost a universal truth that if you ever say the phrase, do you remember that scene in? I haven't seen it. TV shows, movies, and it's not that I'm like purposely avoiding just to maintain that. I don't watch a lot of TV. I don't watch a lot of movies. And what I do watch, I tend to watch over and over and over again. My true crime love, I am deeply obsessed with investigation discovery. So I watch that all the time. And I've been a big fan of horror movies for a long time. Although I have friends that are such horror movie fans, they certainly put me to shame. However, if you've ever seen those videos of people reacting, they react to music, they react to movies, they react to TV shows. I don't watch a lot of videos. It goes with the whole not watching movies thing. But a friend of mine has a goal of starting one of those channels. He really wants to do, you know, like reactions to movies, and he sees all the movies. I don't. So he wants to kind of do a blend of, you know, summing up movies, doing commentary, talking about them, while also getting that reaction. So it is potential It's not a guarantee, it's not a promise at this point, but he and I are looking at partnering up for that so that I can be a part of that. And then, hey, I would definitely have a much bigger, expanded movie reference, I guess. Ones that definitely surprise a lot of people. I've never seen Star Wars. Although I've been to a number of Star Wars related things, including recently the Empire Strips Back about a month ago, which is a burlesque show here in Las Vegas with a Star Wars theme. I even have a Chewbacca coffee mug downstairs. I don't know why. I've never seen the movie, but it was funny and somebody gave it to me, so I have it. I've never seen the Harry Potter movies or Lord of the Rings. And the one that surprises most people is I've never seen Princess Bride. Never read it. And again, these are not because I have any sort of judgment towards these movies. They're just either not a genre that I particularly enjoy, I'm not a big fantasy person, or they just never came up and appealed to me. But along that vein, I was actually having this exact conversation yesterday. I had never seen the original Top Gun, which happens to be, in my opinion, I have seen it now, by the way, but I hadn't seen it. And it is hands down the quintessential cheesy 80s movie. I still don't like it. Judge me if you want. I don't like it. It's not my thing. However, I saw it because I saw the second movie. I was going with friends, and it was supposed to be so well done that it really lived up. In my opinion, it actually surpasses the first one. The second one, Top Gun Maverick, I saw it, and it was so well done that I actually agreed to watch the first one. I didn't need to. The first one, I still don't like it. I didn't need to see it. I have actually watched the second one a number of times, so I actually really do like it. And it surprised me because it's not a movie I would have picked to watch. So there are movies out there like that, and I'm hoping that there will also be books on the recommendation list like that surprise me, that are things that I wasn't planning to read, but then they kind of jump out and go, hey, just because you're not what I normally read. Jonathan Mayberry, he has I think it's called Animorphs. I'll have to look it up. But he has a sci-fi book that it's a young adult book. And I read it, and I'm not a sci-fi person. I'm not a fantasy person. It's just not my thing. Again, nothing against it. It just isn't my genre. Not something that's ever really captured me. But that story, when I read it many years ago when I met him at a conference, I wanted to read something by each of the keynote speakers, and he happened to be one of them. I read that book, and the story was so incredibly good, and it was so well written that it transcended the genre. It wasn't just a really good young adult book or a really well written sci-fi book. It was just an incredibly captivating story. It happened to have giant space bugs. It happened to have kids that morphed into animals. But that, while it was relevant to the story, it wasn't the point of the story. A guy I know who's unpublished right now, although if he ever gets his act together and publishes this book, I will probably be the first to buy it because I got to be a beta reader for him. Christopher James Madden, he wrote also sci-fi, aliens, fantasy. Again, not my thing, not a genre that I like, but it's a very captivating story. It's a very well-written story. And it's one where I felt the tug on my heartstrings to remember the characters. I was flipping pages so fast trying to keep up with the action. It's an extremely well done story. And so it's not a genre I would normally pick. It's not something that if I was walking through the bookstore, I would head straight to that section. If somebody handed it to me and said, here, I read this, you'd probably, it's not really your thing, but you might like it. It'd go in the list, it'd go in the pile, but I don't know that I would have necessarily jumped right on it because it's someone I know, I read it, and it's a very, very well done story. So I'm hoping that you guys will send me recommendations that I can come on here and be like, okay, so had never planned to read this book, but mind blown, it's so good. So I can't wait to see what you guys send. Yeah, reading is kind of a big focus this week. It's weird. I think I need the distraction. You guys know that I've been dealing with all this medical skin cancer stuff, and I've put up a couple of pictures because people keep asking about the side effects and everything, and you can even still see that part we're working on my shoulder. Um, on the upside, because I've shown a lot of the side effects and things that I've been struggling with, I'm down like 14 pounds, so, not the way I would have chosen to do it, but I had planned to try to lose like 20, 25 pounds anyway, so silver lining, it's taking care of that part for me. But I had my follow-up. I finished round 1 of the medication, and then on Tuesday went to the doctor, and I'm doing really well. I'm getting better. I'm not better yet. So we have started round 2, and I think that the mental and emotional part of it really hit me a lot harder than I expected. And so I'm working on, I guess, kind of that distraction, escapism. So reading has been a big focus this week. I'm writing, of course, so I get to jump into my own worlds, but that carries its own pressures and its own focus that isn't quite as distracting. Sometimes just getting lost, and this is, again, people go into movies, people watch TV shows, people go hiking, get lost in nature. I intend to do that too, but reading has always been an escape for me. So I'm looking for those recommendations, those things that'll take me either to another world or another feeling or something, because I'm not in a bad place, but I'm in a periodically need to take a small mental trip place. And so the reading is a big part of that. And I appreciate everybody that's been reaching out and that's been, sharing your stories. It really is a community thing. And so it's been nice you feel like you're alone when you're going through stuff like that. And I think that can be a big part of the mental and the emotional, is feeling like you're either bugging people because you're constantly talking about it, or feeling like no one understands. And there's so many people that understand. It was really sweet. I was at a hockey game last night, and there was a little girl who had a sign that said, "I kicked cancer's butt." And they put her up on the Jumbotron, and everybody clapped. And I mean, I'm working on doing the same thing, but I feel like anybody that puts up a sign like that probably dealt with a much more severe issue than mine. And so it was cool to see. It was cool to see her there celebrating. She was very young, so it was definitely cool to see that she's doing so well. Speaking of doing well, speaking of escaping and kind of staying focused and trying to keep pushing forward, this week the song is from Imagine Dragons. It's called Whatever It Takes. Queen last week kept me going with Don't Stop Me Now, and I'm still listening to it, probably on repeat more than I should. Again, aging myself with the Queen. But Imagine Dragons are local boys here in Las Vegas. So I will be putting that song up and pinning it to the top of my Facebook profile. Imagine Dragons, Whatever It Takes. They played it live on the ice the first year that the Golden Knights went to the Stanley Cup Finals. We didn't win that year. It took us 6 years, but it was so cool to see. And that song has always meant a lot to me. So it's, things get hard, things knock you down, but getting back up and keep fighting, keep going, keep pushing, keep trying new things. I'm trying for that positivity. I'm trying for that good focus, because some days that's easier said than done. But you guys keep me going. You are definitely the best cheerleaders. And so I enjoy hanging out with you every week. I will look forward to next week. I am going to be doing this on Thursday the 22nd instead of Friday the 23rd, because I'm actually going to help a friend down in California teach a class. So I will be out of town on that Friday. Not that this is relevant for next week, but just a heads up, it'll be a day early that week. So until next week, send those recommendations. I can't wait to start making my list, and I will repost the challenge so that you guys can see kind of what I'm looking for. I'll be reading other things too, obviously, but I do want to see if I can check off that whole list this year, and let me know, what you're doing. What are you doing for escape? What are you doing to engage? Some people, instead of escaping the world, they want to go out and engage, again, hiking and doing all sorts of things to get out there and just reconnect. So it's always great to see what you guys are up to and to be able to share in those happy moments and even tough moments if you just want to have somebody that's there that understands. So keep reaching out. It's always so great to be a part of your lives and to be able to share things with you. And until next week, I'm going to go get another cup because this one, I'm going to drain it as soon as this video is over. And then work on cup 3. Get going on everything, and then we will see you next week. So until then, I'm going to stay caffeinated. I hope you do too.